where we begin our team coverage you can count on.
And today, President Donald Trump signed an executive order giving drug makers a deadline to lower the cost of prescription drugs in the United States. The order calls on the HHS department to broker new price tags for drugs over the next month.
And our Washington, D.C. correspondent Rachel Knapp is standing by live. Rachel, what is the reaction on this so far?
Well, good evening, Mike and Eva. So some say that this is a big shakeup for the industries. Others say that this is a bad deal for Americans. Now, Mike and Eva, I do want to zoom out really quick. Now, the idea of this is to tie these drug prices to some of the lower costs of drugs that you would find in other countries abroad. But in that case, for the most part, those are typically government-run healthcare systems where they get to help negotiate some of those drug costs. But of course, overall, these high drug prices is a huge issue for many people, including people in our local communities.
Starting today, the United States will no longer subsidize the health care of foreign countries.
In a new executive order, it directs drug makers to voluntarily lower the cost of prescription drugs in the U.S. within the next 30 days, or could face new limits of how much the U.S. will pay for those drugs. The HHS secretary will broker new prices for drugs within that time period and develop a new rule that ties the price the U.S. pays for medications to lower prices paid by other countries. The president says this plan will increase savings on drug prices. Many drug makers say changes to their profits could impact the research they do to develop new drugs. The CEO of Pharma, which represents the country's leading biopharmaceutical research companies, called the president's plan a bad deal for American patients and workers. They released a statement saying in part, quote, "It would mean less treatments and cures and would jeopardize the hundreds of billions our member companies are planning to invest in America," end quote.
So many patients show up at a counter of their prescription or of their pharmacy to get their prescription, and they are surprised by the cost.
Brian Norton, the CEO of Logistics Health, says this is a huge shakeup for the health and pharmaceutical industry.
Really push the manufacturers to say, this is my bottom price. This is what I can go to market with. I can't pay rebates. I can't pay kickback incentives. I can only go at this price. And then we take it and go, great. As long as we have some room to let the pharmacies make some money and the patient can get a great cost and we can make a little bit of money to do the work, then it works. And the other 60, 70% of the drug costs that have been taken by these PBMs, it comes back.
And Mike and Eva, the president repeatedly blamed other countries, not the pharmaceutical companies, for the high prices that Americans pay for these drug costs. But a few years ago, Congress approved a new bill that allows Medicare to negotiate some drug prices for just a handful of some drugs, but that would be starting for next year. But experts that I heard from say it's unclear how this executive order could impact people who have private health insurance. Mike and Eva, back to you.
Rachel,